what's wonder, is this sad diet really helping people? We also look at diabetes worldwide. Back in 2000, we had over 171 million people with diabetes worldwide. It was projected then that by 2030, we would have 366 million people with diabetes. But look where we are. We are at 820 million in 2024. That's worldwide. So what is the diet doing for us? When we look at heart disease and stroke statistics in 2024, people with undiagnosed diabetes, we had 9.7 million. People with diagnosed diabetes had 29.3 million. And pre-diabetes, 115.9 million. That's in the US alone. And it's projected to affect 184 million Americans by 2050. Okay, so here are some interesting facts. People with diabetes are 2 times as likely to have a heart attack. High blood glucose from diabetes can damage the blood vessels and the nerves that control the heart and blood vessels, leading to heart disease over time. So if you are pre-diabetic or you have diabetes, this is something to consider. Also, a high-fat diet can also increase the chances of a heart attack. The University of Reading indicates that a high-fat diet can activate a protein called NOX2, which can cause destructive growth in the heart cells, potentially leading to a heart attack. And high-fat diets can contribute to the development of diabetes because by affecting the insulin sensitivity, because insulin is needed to digest sugars, but the fat blocks the receptor cells, so the sugar stays in your system too long. Okay, so the traditional approach to treat heart disease, as we can see here, is prescription drugs. 108.7 billion was spent on managing heart disease in the US in 2017. And 71.5% of that money was spent on prescription drugs. That's over 77 billion US dollars. Now, I want you to listen to the confession of a drug dealer. Her name is Gwen Olson, and her niece died of interactions between drugs that she was given after she was diagnosed with psychiatric disorder, which she did not really have. So she was one of those drug representatives that would go around and introduce new drugs to doctors and get paid. And, you know, the doctors, she would give free samples, doctors would start to use them. So let's listen to her.
Olson, and I'm the author of Confessions of an Orange Drug Pusher. I'm a 15-year veteran of the pharmaceutical industry, and I left in the year 2000. And what I would like to do today is I would like to dispel the myth that the pharmaceutical industry is in the business of health and healing. Because in fact, what the pharmaceutical industry is in the business of doing is disease maintenance and symptom management. They are not in the business to cure cancer, to cure Alzheimer's, to cure heart disease, because if they were, they would be in the business of putting themselves out of business. And that, in fact, doesn't make sense. I don't want people thinking that I am a conspiracy theorist, because in fact, there is no theory behind what I'm telling you. It's all provable. And what I'm saying is provable is that the pharmaceutical industry doesn't want to cure people. You need to understand, specifically when we're talking about psychiatric drugs in particular, that these are drugs that encourage people to remain customers of the pharmaceutical industry. In fact, you will be told if you're given a drug such as an anxiolytic or an antidepressant or an antipsychotic drug that you may be on the drug for the rest of your life. And very frequently, people find that they are on drugs for a very long period of time, if not permanently, because they're almost impossible to get off of. Some of them can have very serious withdrawal symptoms. Most of them can have extremely serious withdrawal symptoms if they're stopped cold turkey. But some people even experience withdrawal symptoms when they try to titrate or they try to eliminate the drug little by little, day after day. So it's really important to understand the motivation behind all of the current maintenance drugs that are on the market, even, for example, drugs such as cholesterol-lowering drugs. And what we are in fact finding now is that cholesterol drugs are lowering cholesterol excessively and causing other disease states as a consequence. So you need to be careful about trying to take drugs in order to remain healthy, because you're never going to have anyone come to you and tell you that the drugs are always tried against a placebo in clinical trials. What a placebo is a sugar pill. And in fact, many drugs are not found to be much more efficacious than a sugar pill. And in a case in point, actually, is the recent clinical trials that were released in the meta-analysis that came out of the UK on antidepressants, on the newer SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor antidepressants. And what was found was the information that activists and other researchers have known for decades, was that antidepressants are no more effective than placebo, no more effective than sugar pills. But yet there are over 44 million people that have been taking these antidepressants, and a large number of them people that have mild to moderate depressive episodes. In fact, they proved that the antidepressants were not effective in anyone, with the exception of some of the most severely depressed patients. And I can tell you from personal experience that there are a number of things that depressed patients can do to improve their mental status, aside from drugs, that are quite effective, and in fact more effective than placebo. Another recent study that was released showed that exercise was in fact more effective than either placebo or the antidepressant drug that they were compared to. But just like Bill Maher said in his show, you know, we're never going to hear any ads on television that are sponsored by anybody saying, you know, the New England Journal just announced that exercise is twice as effective as antidepressants in curing depression. Ask your doctor if getting your butt off the couch is right for you. You know, you're never going to get that kind of good information, fair, balanced information, as long as pharma is funding the major TV stations, the advertising that supports those television stations, the major journals, and all of the advertising that supports the major journals. We just have to be commonsensical people and understand that the pharmaceutical industry makes 5 to 6 times the amount of money as any of the other Fortune 500 companies in the United States of America. They are not going to easily or readily give up that income. And we are, in fact, considered a human commodity. Our loved ones, our children, our elderly are considered cash cows that are preyed upon by pharmaceutical reps such as myself, who are encouraged to go in and build market shares without thinking about the consequences to patients, without knowing the misinformation that they're distributing, without being aware that the clinical data has been contrived, or that the patient populations have been cherry-picked, or that the side effects have been minimized and reported in such a manner that it doesn't present the information correctly. I spent 15 years in this industry. I was one of the best, but I'm here to tell you that the industry has run amok, that we are at a severe crossroads in this nation, and that we have got to take our power back, and we have got to start making the pharmaceutical industry accountable for their actions and for the defective products that they're putting on the market. It won't be long before every American is affected by this disaster. And we need to be aware of what the differences are between diseases, between disorders, and between syndromes. Because if it doesn't have to be scientifically proven, if there are no tests, if there are no blood tests, CAT scans, urine tests, MRI, that there is.
Okay, so I think I gave you enough there so you get an understanding. This was somebody in the industry. Okay, now this is the founder of Johns Hopkins Hospital, Sir William Osler. And he said back in 1912 Of the action of drugs, we know little. Yet we put them into our bodies about which we know less, to cure disease of which we know nothing at all. Let that sink in. Now, I'm going to give you a short Greek lesson. Pharmakia is the Greek word from which pharmacy is derived. It is translated in the Bible as witchcraft or sorcery. The meanings are the use or the administering of drugs, poisoning, sorcery, magical arts, often found in connection with idolatry and fostered by it. It's a metaphor for the deception and seductions of idolatry. Strong's definition says pharmakia, from that number there, medication, pharmacy, that is by extension magic, literally or figuratively, sorcery, witchcraft. So the question I want to ask you is, did you get your meds today? Now, the top most 50 drugs, as reported by ABC News in Denver, click on that link for me, please, and go to number 44 on the list. What do you think number 44 on the list is? Huh? Oh, you didn't find it? Oh, it seems as if I, okay. Number. Okay, I'll just tell you, because you're wasting time, a little time here. Number 44 on the list is aspirin. That's one of the top 50 top most dangerous drugs, aspirin. And especially for elderly people, they tell you take an aspirin a day. That actually hurts your stomach and it can cause internal bleeding. Yet, take an aspirin per day. And there are some others on there that you might be shocked to see. So, I want to ask a question. Do you get pain in your body because you haven't eaten your Tylenol, which is just another name for the same drug in aspirin? Do you normally get a headache because you didn't take Tylenol or any of those drugs? No, you don't. So let's go to the incredible diet that is purposely designed by God. And Genesis 1:29-30 says to us, God said, see, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has breath of life, I have given every green plant for food. And it was so. And that is the Revised Standard Version. And I'm going to bring back this guy because he makes a lot of sense. It's a short video again.
Nonsense. It's the food is the food. And at this point in the lecture to the medical students and the residents and the attending physicians, I ask a provocative question. I say, knowing how reversible the diseases that you were going to spend the majority of your professional lives treating, knowing how reversible these diseases are with the whole food plant-based diet and healthy lifestyle practices. Want to heal these patients, want to get rid of their problem, you just want to manage the chronic disease. You're just going to manage the chronic disease, you're going to relieve medicine. It's a dismal way to practice medicine. And really heal these patients and get real about why they're sitting in front of you, overweight, diabetic, hypertension, clogged up, and inflamed from what they are eating So here is that report from the frontline design as the advanced scout is they're sending the message back to the reinforcements to the young doctors that are coming into the trade. What's my report to them about the cause of these diseases? It's the food. It's been the food all along. We've been looking for genes and viruses. It's the food. And guess what? A whole food plant-based diet is the key to reversing these diseases. Because if you don't do this, the doctor condemns themselves into the fate of the blind man and the elephant, where each have a hold of a different elephant. Well, it's true for them, a different part of the elephant. It's true for the medical specialists, the cardiologists in their cubicle treating the clogged arteries, endocrinologists in their cubicle treating the type 2 diabetes, the gastroenterologists in their cubicle treating the Crohn's disease and colitis. Little do they know it is the great tragedy of Western medicine. They're all treating the same disease. There are different manifestations of the pathogenic diet their patients are eating. And the tragedy is that it gets based on a whole food plant-based diet. The doctor and the patient will see these diseases remarkably improve and usually resolve altogether because it was improved all along. So the last slide says that a new era healing is open to all of us. The plant-based wave is breaking, laying yourself forward, and start your own era of health healing with your very next plant-based diet. These are the resources that you should take advantage of, and these are the
Sterling? Not really hearing. The video doesn't come up very clear. Is everybody hearing that? I'm not hearing it.
Not here?
Everything changes, and we should take advantage of that.
Yes.
Okay, so with that.
So that's it,
stop my
that's it.
share.
So when you're on a plant-based diet, everything changes, everything. So all the diseases, the doctors are treating different diseases. You have in the US, we have a doctor for everything. One for the eye, one for the foot, one for the nose, one for the heart, one for the ears, one for this, one for that. And he's saying it's like treating one person at the head of the elephant, testing a blind man, testing the elephant at different parts and treating the one elephant with different ways. But it's just the same problem that is creating all the diseases. And it's the food all along. So
So I have a-
plant-based nutrition, yes.
So Sterling, just a quick question for you. If from a personal perspective, I know I feel better, like in my body when I eat healthy. That's just the truth. But I'm thinking about some of the quote unquote organic foods and the fact that there are sometimes questions around whether something is really, really organic or not. But I'm still wondering, you're probably still doing better with fruits, veggies, and beans and what have you that you have up there than the other food. If the meat is not organic and the veggies and the fruits and the different beans and so on are not organic, I think you're still doing better with the plant-based diet, in theory.
Absolutely.
As we know, we live in Canada. And I find that information is power. So even if I may agree that a plant-based diet is better, not in Canada. Because the fruits and vegetables that we get here, that's in your supermarket that you went and got this morning or last night, it was there 2 years ago. I'm not sure if many people understand that.
Yeah, generally, I agree.
I'm
And
working in a farming community.
that's why when I lived in Florida, I had my backyard garden.
There you go. So my point is, are we talking about the preparation of our food source that we're taking? Because long ago when things were grown, like you said, in your backyard, and we were raising our own chickens and we were doing this and doing that, is it the introduction of modern society that we're battling versus the food? Because either way, if we go plant-based, and now that they know everyone's going plant-based, the same thing that they're doing with the,
Yeah, because you see, it's a strategy to basically, it's a strategy, and I don't really want to talk about it
okay, no problem.
online here. Okay, so of course, when we look at the plant-based diet, we see a lot of colors, which I spoke about already, all the different things that you can have. So it's not just vegetables. People think that once you say vegetarian or plant-based, it's all vegetables, but we see all of that. And most times, yeah, some people ask, so how will I get my protein? Most people don't realize that protein, you don't get protein from protein. We get protein from amino acids. Your body can actually build the protein from the amino acids that you take in. Okay, so the building blocks of protein are amino acids, which are found in almost all foods in varying amounts. Cows eat grass to build their protein. So do many other animals. They don't eat, yeah, some animals eat other animals, but most of the animals that are herbivores, they just eat grass, right? So they don't need protein to build protein. We don't need meat to build protein. What we need is the amino acids. And there are 21 amino acids. Most are made in the body except for 9 essential ones. And those need to be obtained from food. Okay, so let's look at protein in nuts. It's one of the things that I use a whole lot of, nuts. When you compare an egg with nuts, some of the nuts I have here, an egg has 6 grams of protein. Peanuts has 7 grams of protein. A quarter cup of peanut has 7 grams of protein. Almonds have 6, similar to an egg. Pistachios, 29 grams per ounce without the shell, and 6 grams with shell. Cashews and walnuts and hazelnuts, 4 grams, right? So if you're thinking that, oh yeah, I have to eat eggs and I have to eat, no, you don't have to, because we're using the amino acids to build our protein. Let's look at a cup of cooked beans. And we see here, when you look at the different type of beans that we have, we're ranging from 13 grams per cup to up to 18 grams of protein. So you're getting your protein from peas and beans. We don't have to eat meat. And when we come to, here's a tip, when you eat your beans, you want to eat it with rice. Although they have all 9 essential amino acids, they are a little low in one of them. And so when you eat it with rice, you get the full complement of the 9 essential amino acids. And of course, quinoa has all 9 essential amino acids. And so these are the essential amino acids that we're talking about. I'm not even going to go through, but I'm going to show you now. We spoke about the Tylenol, and when we look at an apple and compare it with Tylenol, for example, we'll see that an apple has, these are all proteins, amino acids. These are all amino acids that we can use to build our protein.
There's a question online. The question is, what are your thoughts on tofu?
Oh, tofu is actually made from a bean. So tofu is a good source of protein. Yeah, it's made from soybean, right? And all our beans, they will have a cup of a bean, have anywhere between 13 and 18 grams of protein. So yes, protein, tofu is actually a good source. Now, when we look at Tylenol and compare that with an An apple has all of these amino acids. Tylenol doesn't have any. And of the 21 amino acids, 18 of them are found in an apple. And the apple has all 9 essential amino acids. When we look at a comparison here with these are micronutrients, we see that an apple has all of these micronutrients. And it's no wonder that they say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So we need to eat our apples. And here are some foods that have complete protein. And that's chia seeds, hemp seed, spirulina, amaranth, buckwheat, quinoa. These all have the complete amino acids. So how about fats? Yes, we need to eat healthy fats that they are essential to absorb the vitamins and mineral vitamins A, D, E, and K, those fat-soluble vitamins. But the best sources of fats are from nuts and seeds because they have less saturated fats. And if you overeat on carbohydrates, they actually become fat in the body. So that means we have to be careful with that too. And we have different types of fat. We have the saturated fats. These are solid at room temperature. And these ones will increase the risk of heart disease and stroke. And we have monounsaturated fats. These are considered healthy. They are liquid at room temperature and starts to harden when chilled. They help reduce bad cholesterol and in the blood and lower the risk of heart attack. And they are found in things like avocados, nuts, olives. See, those are plant-based. Then we have polyunsaturated fats, and these are considered the most healthy. They have the omega-3s and the omega-6s, and they are essential for brain function and growth of cell growth. The body cannot produce those, so we have to get it from food sources. And these are very, very beneficial for health, the heart health, and they support good cholesterol and blood pressure. Now, the omega-3s are obtained from fish. Good fish sources, mackerel and salmon, sardines, nuts and seeds, like walnuts and flax seeds. Now, the omega-6s, if we have too much of that, they can cause inflammation. And inflammation is also a precursor for heart disease. So we have to make sure that we balance the omega-3s and the omega-6s. And the optimal omega-3 to 6 is 1 to 1, 4 to 4 to 1. Now, I'm going to look at a comparison of the fats. Saturated fats are in the red. Then we have monounsaturated and polyunsaturated are the best type of fats. When we look at cheese, regular cheese, we see how much saturated fat here. And even if they say it's light cheese, we still have a lot of saturated fat. And the way cheese is made, you might not want to eat it. Whole milk, same thing. Ice cream, a lot of saturated fat. When we look at meats, there's a question?
The person is asking, is canned fish okay if you can't afford fresh fish?
Of course, canned fish is okay. But canned salmon and sardines, those are really good. Beef, although there's something more that I need to say about fish. Okay? Okay, so beef, see the amount of saturated fat, chicken, pork, all of that. As you can see, the meats generally have a lot of saturated fat. This is just this fish here that has a good amount of the polyunsaturated fat. And then when we look at nuts, we see that the saturated fats in nuts is much less than our meats and our dairy products. And the polyunsaturated fats are much more. And okay, so our omega-3 and omega-6 rich foods, remember these are essential. Our bodies can't make them, so we have to get them from food. And so we have the salmon and the mackerel and the flaxseed and the chia seed and oysters, which Bible says not to eat. Omega-6 would be peanut butter, almonds, avocado oil, cashews, sunflower seeds, and we have walnut, hemp seed, and soybean with both 3 and 6 in good ratio. Now, what we found is that the omegas from fish, just a minute, the omegas from fish have a better ratio than many nuts and seeds. However, what has been happening over the years is that fish are filled with heavy metals and now microplastics. So instead of the fish, eat seaweed. That's what the fish eats anyway to build its omega-3 and omega-6. And the seaweed has the omega-3 and 6. Chia and flaxseed and hemp seed seem to have the best ratios among the plant sources. Of course, if you're going to eat fish, you make sure that it is wild caught, not the farmed fish, because those don't have the omegas. Okay. And now let's look at the seaweed versus wild salmon. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
No problem. My question was around snacking on nuts.
Snacking on what? Nuts.
Nuts, because some persons who are forever big back, like myself, like it's hard to eliminate snacking because that has been a part of how I eat, but making small changes, I still snack
You
as I'm
try to
trying to
get something.
wean myself from doing that bad practice, but I try to incorporate it with the mindset of doing
That you're
healthy
gonna
snacking
and you're
with
gonna drop it
nuts.
off. Yeah.
How would you advise somebody who is doing that, trying to eliminate the snacking, but still incorporating the nuts and trying to find that balance to ensure that over time
Well,
we find
yeah,
that
yes.
place of doing the right thing? If you
Well,
get the question.
basically, I need to let you know that the things that I am doing didn't come overnight. I continue to do some of the stuff that I know should be done until I gradually wean them off, right? Because your mindset is the most important thing. So you're not going to drop off everything right away. So yes, if you want to snack on nuts, that's fine. But you have the mindset that I'm going to try to cut this out. But what I find is that when I eat a nice, healthy breakfast with all those micronutrients, I'm not tempted to snack because I'm satisfied. But until you get to that place, yes, it's fine to snack on your nuts. Yes. Yeah, I'll come.
Sorry, I don't like when you're active, but like when you were still working.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So when we look at seaweed versus salmon, we'll see that the seaweed is packed filled with, give me a minute, packed filled with all the micronutrients. That's what the fish feeds on anyway. Fish will eat that to build whatever nutrients they get. So of course, the seaweed is the best thing. Yes, it's my sister.
I 100% agree with everything that you're presenting. A question just came to mind though, like we all have different blood types. Like for me, I'm B positive, someone could be A, someone can be O, where my body needs more of a certain protein than someone that's the type A don't need that type of protein. That usually comes from meat or whatever. So do you think like the vegan diet is beneficial for everybody?
The doctors are saying that 98% of the population do best on a vegetarian plant-based diet. Unless you have certain diseases and so on, then they wouldn't recommend it. But they say 98% of the population do better on plant-based diet. But bear in mind, though, that everybody's body is different, and you have to learn to listen to your body. If there's something that you eat and your body is telling, and you know, our body is so smart. If you're about to eat something, your body might say, no. You know, so from the smell and all of that. So listen to your body, and it will help you along because your body is smart. Okay, so now chia seeds and flax seeds are a powerhouse. They're rich in a lot of the omegas, and they're rich in the omegas 1 and many of the micronutrients. I'm not going to spend much time on that, and you can get a lot of protein from those too. And I usually sprinkle some chia seeds and flax seeds on my fruit in the morning. And that helps you to feel satisfied. You know, I get a bowl of fruits, and I will put chia seeds on it, and I'll put some yogurt, and that helps the digestion. And vegan yogurt though, not the regular cheese, the vegan yogurt, put that on. And usually I'm drinking some psyllium as well for the fiber to pull out whatever in the system, right? So by the time I'm finished that bowl, and it's not a big bowl, by the time I'm finished that bowl of, I'm satisfied. The chia pudding. Yes, yes. And if you would want to add some nuts to that, you know, you could actually blend your nuts or and just put it in. If you don't like to chew, when you blend it, you get more out of it because some people don't chew their food enough. So yeah, add some nuts to it and you're good to go and you don't feel that hungry. Yes.
There's a question online asking if you can share some recipes.
Oh, the recipes. Yes, I could share some recipes, but I don't have them here. That is going to be for another day. I do have a lot of recipes though. I have a few on my website, which I need to really update. But yes, we can share a lot of recipes. I mean, when we make mac and cheese and those things, you would know that we don't use regular milk and cheese. I know you were they were at home for, and a few people were there for Christmas, and we made mac and cheese. I didn't know the difference. So yes, you can do that, and we're using our nuts and that sort of thing for it. Okay, so we have the 3 major types of foods that we need are fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. Those are what we need. And we have 2 types of carbohydrates, the complex carbohydrates and the simple ones. So complex carbohydrates are like the starchy foods and fiber, and those will give us our minerals. And usually we get those from our peas and beans and starchy vegetables like potato and corn. And then we have the simple carbohydrates, which are broken down really fast. Those we get from our fruits and sugars like honey and all of that. Now we have to be very careful with the sugars and so on that we have in the stores because those are usually stripped. If you're gonna eat like sugar cane itself, where you get the sugar cane and you eat it, or the honey, where honey has a lot of nutrients, and if you're going to use that, great. But when it is stripped, like the white sugar, people love to use white sugar and those things, they have processed it to the point where all it's doing is bringing a lot of sugar into your system really fast, pushing up your blood sugar, and ultimately creating heart disease. So you have to be very careful with that. Okay, now we have something that is called toxic hunger. How do you know when you're hungry? Most people feel that, yeah, if I hear my stomach growling, I'm hungry, but it's not necessarily so. This is used to describe this discomfort and symptoms that arise from consuming a diet low in the micronutrients. And the micronutrients are usually obtained from plant sources. Most of them come from plant sources. And when we're eating a high-fat diet, when we are eating a lot of sweets and animal products, then we end up with what we call toxic hunger. It's stomach grumbling, headache, lightheadedness, shakiness, irritability, fatigue, and inability to focus are actually signs of detoxification. Your body is detoxing. So if you get, if you, I'm coming, just a minute. If you go on a day's fast, for example, now if you've never done fast before, and you went on a day's fast, you're gonna find that you might get a headache. But if you continue that fast into the next day, you find that those symptoms go away. Because during that time, your body's actually cleaning out the toxins. And most times people just add more food and add more toxins. So that's what's called toxic hunger. When you're getting enough micronutrients, when you're hungry, your hunger is usually up here. I know when I'm hungry, I feel it across here. I'm hungry. So now I have to get something to eat. I don't normally hear that growling in my stomach or get a headache. Yes. Okay, so a note here, carefully. You need to avoid white bread and white flour and refined sugars and sugary drinks as much as possible. White bread is stripped of all the fiber and the nutrients. It's like when you eat white flour, it's like drinking a glass of sugar. Yes. So those are things that we have to try to keep out of our diet. If you have to use flour, use whole wheat flour. Or if you have to buy bread, buy the multigrain bread. They have multigrain bread in the stores now. But those, because they're stripped of the fiber, they get into your system really fast. Yes, Sheena. It helps to an extent because the sourdough, because it has the bacteria has been feeding on the sugar in it, then it makes it a little less toxic to your system because you're using the bacteria to use up the sugar, the yeast to use up the sugar. So it's not as bad as the regular white bread. Okay. So this is what a healthy plate should look like as per Harvard Medical School. So you have your vegetables, your whole grains, healthy protein like peas and beans and brown rice, and you want to limit white rice and white bread. Fruits, vegetables, whole grain, your water and healthy oils. And not too much oil now because too much oil is going to cause blocking the receptor cells, and that will cause diabetes. Yes. You can eat your vegetables and fruits together. Some people will get gassy with that, but like I made my smoothie, it has vegetable and fruits, banana and apple. Yeah, you can do that, but some people can get gassy, but that could also be because of the toxicity in your system. Okay. Uh-huh.
I was going back to Sister Sheena's question. You said the white flour, all the nutrients, so most of
Are
it-
gone. They take out the bran.
take all it.
They take out the bran and they sell you the bran separately. Yeah.
What about the unbleached flour?
Same thing.
Same.
Same thing. It's because they've taken out the bran out of it. Because if you have seen the wheat germ itself, it has a brown coating on it. And when you blend that, when you mill that, you get brown, it's brown, not white. So what they've done, they've taken off the bran and they mill that section and then bleach it. So whether it's bleached or unbleached, you still have a problem. Oh man, I'm sorry about that. All right, so that's what your plate should look like. You went from that. Ooh. So the caution here, don't live to eat. There are a lot of people who live to eat. I remember, I know she's gonna kill me for this, but my niece was spending some time with us, and after breakfast, she said, Auntie Sandra, what for lunch? By the time she had lunch, Auntie Sandra, what's for dinner? So a lot of people live to eat. If you live to eat, you're gonna die young, right? And in the US, they will make some huge burgers, 10-pound burgers. And then they will have contests to see who can eat the burger fastest, right? And they will give you prescription to go to the doctor. So it's crazy. It's crazy. And people do that, you know? So what you want to do is to eat to live and live long. Now, this is a breakfast crate that my daughter sent to us. It's a breakfast. So you see her breakfast has beans. It has some carbohydrate here, green plantains. She has her tomatoes, her corn, and her avocado. This is breakfast. It looks inviting, right? Delicious, right? Now, we were in Europe recently, and when you go to Europe and you order a cup of juice or anything, it's 1/3 the size of what you get here or the US. Their meals are small. Their plates are small. We are eating way too much, way too much. This is a lunch. We have our potatoes, we have our lettuce, and we have our seeds on it. And of course, this will suffice for lunch. And here, this could be a dinner. Could also have that for lunch too. Because bear in mind, you want to have a big breakfast, then your lunch is going to be not as big. Eat like a king for breakfast, a queen for lunch, and a pauper for dinner. Okay? And yes, we can prepare some recipes that will help us to think ahead. Okay, now the saying goes, anyone who does not understand food and its relationship to life and health of the body can never understand disease. And of course, live food give life. So for health to continue, our bodies are dependent on like the energy and nutrients from food. And every cell in the body needs live food. The vast majority of cooked food disrupts the body's natural processes. And we come to digestion and enzymes. Our body needs enzymes to digest food. Most times we kill the enzymes by cooking. So what's an enzyme? Enzymes are proteins that speed up chemical reactions in the body, and they are the life of the food, similar to like blood in the body. They are the life of the food. Now, when you overheat, when you heat those foods over 104 degrees, you kill the enzymes. So the food is now considered dead. Yes.
Just two comments. When you were saying that we live to eat or eat to live.
Uh-huh.
You know, back home, we have breakfast, you have heavy lunch, and you have heavy dinner. And I remember one time after being in Canada for a little while, I went home. And when I went home, breakfast, and then we have a light lunch, and then we have a dinner.
Mhm.
So bought stuff, okay, we bought, okay, but this gonna last 2, 3 days, and this gonna last, it only lasts 2 days. Everything we bought was because you cook heavy
Yes.
meal at breakfast, heavy meal at lunch, and every meal at dinner.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's something that, is a big difference, is a big difference than how people in the West Indies eat,
Yes.
than how we eat, like in North America, you want to put it that way.
And we have a prevalence of diabetes in the West Indies because of that. Because we eat a lot of yam and heavy starchy food and rice.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I find that eating 2 meals a day is enough for me. I don't need more than that. 2 meals a day. I don't eat more than 2 meals for the day.
Exactly. Anyway, we got another 10 minutes before we got to wrap up.
That's not their day. 140 degrees. So it's just showing you when you reach 140, which is usually where we cook food, how the enzymes separate. So, oh no, that's different. You still have some nutrients in the food, but not the enzymes. Oh, I think we're dead. Of course, you still have some nutrients that are not destroyed, but the enzymes. So like a lot of people when they're eating steak, they want it rare. The rare steak, you haven't killed the enzymes. So they feel like, yeah, rare, but the blood is leaking out of it, right? Okay, so let's look at a carrot compared to a donut. The carrot still has the enzymes. We have 10 minutes left, right? Carrot still has the enzymes. So when you eat carrots, your body will absorb the nutrients. Now, for the donut, you don't have any enzymes there. So your body takes a longer time to digest that. And just some research that was carried out by this guy back in he did it between a 10-year study between 1932 and 42 on 900 cats. And what he did was to feed the cat a diet of 2/3 raw milk and raw meat and 1/3 raw milk and cod liver oil. And then he gave a second group a diet of 2/3 cooked meat and 1/3 raw meat and cod liver oil. Now, what they found is that by the end of the 3rd generation, the cats that were fed the cooked meat developed degenerative diseases, right? And by the 4th, some of them, they had skin disease and allergies, and there was the increased incidence of over 90% of the cats in the 3rd generation were deficient. And some of them couldn't have kittens, right? The bones had become soft and pliable, and they suffered from adverse personality changes. The males became docile, while females became more aggressive. Do we see that happening in our society today? The cat suffered from most of the degenerative diseases that we have today. Okay. Another study at the milk study, he fed 2/3 milk and 1/3 meat, and all the groups ate raw meat, with different groups getting raw, pasteurized, evaporated, or sweetened milk. The cats fed pasteurized milk showed skeletal changes, lessened reproductive efficiency, and their kittens presented progressive constitutional and respiratory problems, as this was evident in the cats eating cooked meats. The cats fed evaporated milk showed even more damage than their pasteurized counterparts, while the most deficiencies occurred among those fed sweetened condensed milk. Yes?
I just wanted to go back to the image you had of the carrot and the donut.
Uh-huh.
And we know that the unhealthy foods tend to be very pleasant to our
Yes.
taste
Yep.
buds. And we would more naturally want to choose
The donuts.
the donut over the carrot. So My question is there any science about how the taste buds can be changed,
Changed, yes.
transformed, like to where you actually like the healthier foods?
Yes, I have something coming further down. I might not get to it today, but there sesame seed oil. If you wash your tongue with sesame seed oil, they say it should restore the natural, yes. All right. So we note carefully that as Black people, we are said to be 80% of us are supposed to be lactose intolerant. I mean, we're going to have problems when we drink milk. 60% to 70% of Hispanics and 50% of whites. Okay, so we can not digest the sugar found in milk. But of course, milk are for baby cows anyway, the milk that they give you. Okay, this other guy, Robert McCarrison, he did a study with monkeys where he fed the monkeys in India cooked food rather than what they would normally eat raw. And the animals develop colitis and their autopsies revealed gastric and intestinal ulcers. And then we had another study in Switzerland where the guinea pigs were fed cooked food. They had anemia, scurvy, goiter, dental cavities, malfunction of the salivary glands. And when he added pasteurized milk, they developed arthritis as well. So, and I think I will be done here almost. And then we'll pick up at another time. Just one more slide after this. So this doctor, he spent a lifetime researching enzyme and biochemistry. And he found that rats who fed diet devoid of enzymes, that is cooked or canned foods only, their brains actually shrunk. And other key organs, including heart, spleen, kidney, pancreas, thyroid, pituitary, and endocrine system swelled. So the nutritional study, next slide, this is the last one for today. The nutritional study showed that it was the absolute absence of enzymes which cause the abnormalities and degenerative diseases. So what we want to do is to make sure that every time we eat something raw vegetable, raw fruit or something. So the optimal level is 50 to 70% raw in your diet. So you want to make sure that you have something raw whenever you eat, because the enzymes are there to help your digestion process and all of that. So we'll stop here for now. And of course, last one, the zoo animals. If you go to the zoo, you will see a sign, don't feed the animals. We have specialized diet, right? People food make them sick. All the chips and the the candy and all of those things make them sick. Do you think it's making us sick too? Of course. So let's go back to the God-given diet. And I'll stop there since I was told 10 minutes. Thank you. And I have a few more slides, quite a few more slides that we'll pick up again. And I don't think it will be next week. Next week is going to be, so we'll see when again. All right, thank you so much. And I really do give God thanks because this is a blessing for me. To turn 65 last night at 12 midnight, after 2 heart attacks, it is a blessing. And God has been really good to me. I feel really good in my body. And believe me, when you go, even now, I find that my blood sugar, because I wear a monitor, I told you that some time ago when I went on the cholesterol lowering medication, it caused my blood sugar to go way up into diabetes range. And so I have to monitor my sugar. I wear a continuous monitoring. And nowadays I'm finding that it's going too low. My blood sugar is going too low. So I'm giving God thanks, and it's because I'm careful to eat a lot of raw, one. I'm careful to eat my fruits and vegetables because that's where you get your micronutrients. Those are the things that keep you healthy. Thank you so much, and I give God thanks. So let's pray. I don't know where Pastor is. Father in heaven, we just want to thank you. You've been just so good to us in so many ways. You're such an awesome, wonderful God. And I just bless your name, Father, because truly, Lord, you have your plan for us. And your plan for us, Lord, is to prosper us, to give us hope, to give us a future and not to harm us. And so, Lord God, we just want to rest in your plan. We want to wait upon you and trust you. And we want to build our faith and confidence in you in everything in our lives. Not just in religious things, but in everything, because you have given us everything that we need for life and godliness. So we want to thank you, Father. And as we leave here today, we thank you that you send your angels ahead of us to bring us home safely. In Jesus' name, we thank you. Amen.